let's talk about how the week went and how some trades went and how everything went. So, very good to see everyone. Nice to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. We've got some new people on with us. Joel, welcome. Good to see you, Joel. Nice to have you. And of course, all the regular suspects. Nice to see all of you guys. Um, Yes, yes, Arizona. Arizona has left their time zones unchanged. And Chris, who's up there in Canada, Chris, you may know that Saskatchewan doesn't change times as well, right? Something like that. I have a client in Saskatchewan, or I am probably saying that wrong, but anyway, we missed each other by an hour this week because they don't change and we did. And anyway, so, very good to see everybody. Any questions, any comments anybody has, you can log into the members area by going to members/daytradersfx.com/members, or you can type into the chat right here in GoToMeeting. Questions, comments, any details, just click right on that chat there. And I'll happily answer anything I can. And we'll discuss any details, any questions, any comments, anything we need to do to cover, we'll do it. Okay, so it was a good week, and we found some good setups. How did everybody do this week? I'm really curious. How did everyone's trades go? How did everyone's pips go? What kind of week did we have? What kind of week did everybody have for this fine week? Stock market was kind of garbage this week. The currency market was kind of fantastic this week. The crypto market sold off a lot this week. Just a lot of stuff happening this week. So you can see, just to kind of have a little peek here, you can see things like Bitcoin. So, by the way, guys, I talked about Bitcoin a lot, obviously, when it was moving a lot. And I'm still trading. I still have a lot of positions in cryptocurrencies, by the way. So I still have positions in Bitcoin and Ethereum and in Ripple and so on. I'm not trading these. It's just they're so slow movers now that I can't really not really much I can do except for just kind of wait for these positions to happen. When they happen, I'm trying to just wait for the good buys. So anybody that is trading anything crypto related, you can probably get a really good buy opportunity if we get one more big dip and one more big push down to the $4,000 to $5,000 area. I think that's such a great little spot to buy Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's sitting at 81, 50, 60 area. If we get that down to 4,000, 5,000, I mean, sell a good kidney and be ready to jump into some of that because I think there's going to be some pretty fantastic opportunities. Here's what the cryptos do, by the way, and this is what Bitcoin does. When it hits crucial levels, and right now the crucial levels are imbalances right down here, $4,000 to $5,000. We could even see, I don't know, $4,000 is kind of the low that I'm looking for. I'll happily jump it on $5,000, but we get this thing down to $4,000 to $5,000. And the amount of time it's going to take to bounce up to $8,000 to $10,000 will probably be over the course of a couple of days. So basically, if you can buy in at 4,000 to 5,000, getting it up to 8,000 to 10,000 should be pretty quick, and you can double your money. And not that I'm trying to, do a get rich quick scheme here, but that's just how these cryptos. That's just how they go. So that's what we want to do. And that's kind of how we want to. To have things rock and roll. So that's what we're looking for there, and I think we'll see. I think we'll see some good things happen. One second. Okay. All right, so that's, oops, there we go. Sorry, I had to multitask for 2 seconds there. That's what I think we could see happen with some of these cryptos coming up here. So And I'm still a big fan. I think Ripple's a good one. I bought some at 60 cents before, ran up, doubled money, and it's just kind of run back down to it. So I'm looking at kind of the 30 to 40 cents right now. We'll see where this goes, and kind of how it plays out. So there we go with that. But just wanted to kind of mention that anyone watching the cryptos, just keep an eye on it. I really like 450 ish Ethereum, good little level. We got some pretty full-fledged downtrends going on there, so keep an eye on that. Stocks, what do we have going on in stocks? The S&P just did nothing this week. It was just a flat to declining week this week. We're still holding in this nice big channel, still running up. I'm pretty sure that I said at the beginning of the week, I probably didn't mention this on stocks so much, but we're not necessarily trading stocks in this group, although we do look at them, and I do trade stocks myself. Um, at the beginning of the week, I said the U.S. dollar, and and I thought this as well. Stocks, I thought stocks, and I said U.S. dollar would probably just be sideways and not really do too much, and that definitely turned out to be the case. Lots of sideways in this, lots of just no direction. So stocks didn't do much. Here is a look at the dollar index, which we want to make sure we're keeping an eye on. And this didn't do much either. So the dollar index kind of just went sideways and was just hanging out, hanging out. So lots of sideways activity. This was this week. And we had a little spike up, and then it kind of spiked back down. It's just kind of up. And so I sent this chart out a couple of days ago and just said, blah. But we still are looking at these upper levels, and if we can get some momentum up into those, that'll give us some good trading. Or we need to see this thing break out and start to head lower. I mean, it's got to do something. Dollar index is in a pretty fantastic downtrend, and we'll see how it kind of goes. This is a 50 EMA, which I like quite a bit. We've had a major crossing of the 50 and the 200, lots of space in there. And for the most part on this daily chart, the dollar index has stayed below the 50. We bumped up above just a little bit there, bumped, bounced, and we're headed back into it. So either that triple bottom is going to have a major hold right there, or we're going to have some more failure off of some of these levels right here, which are around the 90, 50-ish area. Excuse me, just catching a sneeze. So that's kind of what I'm looking for there. And until we get some bigger pushes into the 91, 92, or we start breaking out of this 89, 40, 50 area, the dollar pairs are just kind of boring. Let's see, I think we traded a dollar pair this week. It would have been the Aussie dollar, and that's it, because the rest of the dollar pairs I didn't even hardly pay attention to, because they really did a whole lot of nothing. So, for example, dollar yen, which is one I have talked about quite a bit. I do like the movement happening here, but it's pretty choppy. I talked about shorting dollar yen around these highs, and it didn't quite get to those highs. I wanted to see that monthly pivot. I wanted to see 107.50, 10800 get hit again, which it's been hit plenty of times. And it didn't quite get there, and it kind of came bumping down. So I'm still absolutely on dollar yen. I'm still absolutely looking for this big level down here. Still looking for 100. We broke that 10800. It's been chopping around down here. We have a nice big level at about 105.50-ish area. We hit it here, and it's holding here. So I wanted to sell some pullbacks on this thing against 107.50, 10800. Trade back into the lows. I've done it about 3 times now, and it's been great. I wanted to see if we could do it again, right? Get in this 107.50, 10800, trade it down to 105.50, and then hold on to it through that level into these lows. But the dollar is just a little too indecisive. So if you have not participated in the dollar yen whatsoever, and you want to participate in the dollar yen, there is still a big opportunity right here. So when we get below that 105.50 into kind of that 10500 area, but we start breaking these lows. That's a pretty solid level right there. It's a pretty solid support zone. It's pretty much right at 105.50. We start breaking below that, and we should see a good little move. That should open up the floodgates a little bit for that continuation down. But let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. But I like that area. I like selling below that low, and of course selling any pullbacks into this monthly pivot would be really nice as well. What do you guys think about that? Anyone like the dollar yen? Anyone hate the dollar yen? I'll be honest, I don't always love the dollar yen, and in fact, most of the time I don't love the dollar yen. I trade it. Over very short periods every year. A couple of weeks to a month or two, and then it does a lot of this, right? Then we end up with a lot of this stuff, which is bouncing around, and that's not I mean that's a decent little area. There's several hundred pips in there, but these big bounces get a little difficult to trade when there's really no trend or direction. But we're finally we're getting out of that channel. This thing's making a nice little move, and if we get out of this little channel, we should get another 500 pips. I like 500 pips. I think it's a great opportunity to really trade that thing lower. Okie dokie. That's what I want to see happen on dollar yen. You guys all good with that? The watch list this week. Here's what I wanted to go to. The watch list this week was as follows. You can see I posted that on March the 12th. If you're curious about where this watch list is, go to members.daytradersfx.com or daytradersfx.com and click on login. Anything you want there. Log into the members area, the watch list, all of our details are posted over here. Now, for those that might be wondering, we don't use the chat in here as much anymore. We do use it during the live sessions on Mondays and Fridays, but we kind of use Telegram for the chat mostly. So I send out a lot of alerts on Telegram. This is all the stuff that I send out day to day. So make sure you're getting these. If you're not part of the Day Traders FX Alerts Telegram group, this is for paying members only, then let me know and we'll get you plugged in. And then we have kind of our regular little chat area here, which is a little more public. I don't post any specific trade recommendations in here, but I do in the alerts area, as well as in your email inbox through the website. So make sure you're just keeping an eye on those and getting all the details. So in the watch list, we talked about a lot of things this week. We talked about these guys going, yen pairs just going lower. So here is Aussie yen. I wanted to see this hit the darn monthly pivot. It was just a yen kind of time here. I wanted to see that monthly pivot get hit, and I could count that as a hit. I think we came within 1 pip, maybe 2. Let's see, where's that high? 84.52 and 84.56. Yeah, 2 pips. So we came within 2 pips of hitting that monthly pivot, which is what I wanted to see. And then I wanted to break out and sell this thing like crazy, which it did. So I sent out an updated chart throughout the week, which was watch this level right here and look for at least that quick 50 pips, which we got very easily down into that weekly pivot, and it's just continued moving beyond. So the start of the week, we said that's what we want to see happen. We want to see this hit the monthly pivot, which it did. We want to see it break out, which it did very easily, actually. And so that was still our breakout level. This little level that we had right there ended up working out very, very nice, 83.40. You can see that I moved it up just a little bit, and I updated everybody on that to about 83.60. And so it broke out. Obviously, a great little trade there at the rejection on the monthly pivot, and I know some members got into that. And then a nice continuation at the break of 83.60. You can see we're at 82.10, so nice little 150 pip run on the Aussie yen. Who got some Aussie yen pips? Anyone get some Aussie yen pips? I think everybody should have. I got There was plenty of alerts, plenty of details on that. I sent out this little reminder. Let's see, where are we? There we go. I sent out that little Aussie yen reminder back here. There's the Aussie yen. So I sent that one out, this little reminder. This was after we broke. So there's our breakout. There's our move. It was just 12 pips below the breakout area. So nice little run there, and it just continued moving on along. So that was a reminder actually. So I sent that at whatever date that is. Oh, there we go, March 14th. So March 14th at 5 p.m. it was moving. On the same day, March 14th at 12 noon, I sent this as a nice little reminder to watch that level and trade that breakout. And it did, and we did. So great little run on that Aussie yen. 150 pips so far. Good little move. Hopefully everybody made some money on the Aussie yen. Yes, Joseph. Yes, yes. It's sure catching everybody. Daylight savings has just got us all mixed up. So yeah, yeah. The international community, those outside the U.S. and Canada, still haven't changed over in daylight savings. Um, so that's coming. It's coming, but it's always confusing for a couple of weeks while everyone switches over. Okay, so that is Aussie yen. So made some good pips here. I made some great little profits on that. I was happy to see that. Chris, good job. Chris pulled out 68 pips on Aussie yen. Good job, Chris. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Good, guys. Okay, so that was watch list at the beginning of the week. It turned out really well, and it's playing out its larger pattern very nicely. This is our bigger pattern on Aussie yen, and we wanted this to break out like it did. We traded some of this breakout, as it happened over the last several weeks. It hit beautiful support as we listed right here. So nice little level there, hit it, bounced up. Ran up to our monthly pivot as we wanted to see it happen, and it's broken out, headed back down. The Aussie yen has done exactly everything, number one, that we've predicted, and number two, that we've wanted it to do. So that's always great when that happens. I really love that. Really love that. So now we're headed down into this major support zone, 81.60. We're only 70 pips or excuse me, 50 pips, 60 pips away from that right now. Um, and now we're kind of looking to see where this thing is going to go from there. I'm pretty curious what happens at 81, 50, 60. We'll see if we get some consolidation, some more rejection, or if this thing's going to continue breaking down. So I'm going to be, I've been all the levels have been very, very crystal clear before, and this is still a very crystal clear level right here. But the next leg of movement, we'll wait. We'll see how the move plays out. But if anybody's still in it, just know that we have got some big support down there at 81.60. So if you're still in that, just let it go. Okay, so that was Aussie yen. We talked about Euro yen this week as well. That was at the start of the week. Our watch list on Euro yen was, and I updated this a little bit as the week went. I said, don't sell this thing yet. Let's get it up towards that monthly pivot and then get a nice little breakout. And I think I sent out a little bit of an update on that Euro yen. Somewhere back in here, March 13th. I had a Euro yen chart in here somewhere, but I discussed it on one of the morning sessions here in the video. But we wanted to see that Euro yen just get a little bit closer into that monthly pivot before breaking out and coming down. So Euro yen did do that, and did, because that was where my trend line. I kind of updated that trend line. You can see I had this early one kind of going from those lows, but I still wanted to see it pull back a little bit. So I kind of updated the trend line. It did pull back, and we did get within 5 pips of the monthly pivot, 10 pips of the monthly pivot. Nice rejection there, and then we had that beautiful breakout, and it broke out. It ran. We talked about this level right there. That broke as well, about 130, 100. Made a nice little run. So, this one moved a little bit less, but there was still, from the breakout area, 130, 140, 50, all the way down here to 130, 15-ish. It's still cruising along. So Euro Yen still is in the good graces. It's looking great. And remember, we have this kind of stuff happening on Euro Yen. This was a chart that I sent out as well, along with the Dollar Yen, which was here's our decision point, and it held that decision point, right? The decision point was this level right here, this monthly pivot right here, that little zone, and we stayed below the monthly pivot and broke out, and we headed lower, and we've got this big support zone right down here at 129.35. Which was a nice little bottoming out right there and a bottoming out right here. And we're headed into that. We get through that. If you haven't had a chance to get any pips on the Euro Yen so far from our little decision point, our breakout area that happened right there, that nice clean little breakout that was beautiful. If you haven't gotten any pips on this and you're thinking, dang it, how did I miss the Euro Yen? Well, there are second chances for all of us. And the Euro Yen below 129.35, and that's less than 100 pips away from where it is. Any moves below that should be a good little run into 125. Looking for a good run into 125. We'll hit a little bit of headwind around 126.50 and probably through 120, 126, 127.50 area right there could give us stuff, but that's about 200 pips below this breakout zone. So just like the Dollar Yen, we have the this kind of little support zone, and we get some breaks there, and there's going to be some nice pips. So if you're not in where it currently stands or that breakout area, then our next spot to wait for is clearing out that support and making that run into 125. What do you guys think about that? Anybody love that? Anybody hate that? Am I talking craziness? Because it looks like a pretty darn good area to me, and I've made some good pips on Euro Yen this week. So did what we wanted it to do, played out like we wanted it to play out, and now our next opportunity is that. So it could, we could see some rejection off that support. It could bounce off that. It could consolidate here for a while. But the next leg of movement, unless we get a semi-significant pullback, will be breaking out at 129.35. Okay, that's what we're looking for, and we're clearing. We're making our way pretty nicely through the 200 EMA, which is definitely something I look at. So the 200 EMA is my red exponential moving average right there. Our first attempt, we had this big run up right here, and then it broke out of this channel. We definitely talked about that, traded that, and so on. Broke out of that channel, came down, hit that 200 EMA, pushed through it just a little bit, and bounced off it. And now it's coming back at that and trying to make a break out through. So very nice little trade, very good little run there, and we've got more coming. So Euro Yen was excelente. And we got another level coming up, so we'll be ready for that one. We will be ready for that one. I did an update on the pound yen this week, which worked out. That was just yesterday, actually, but pound yen, same thing. Let's see this thing run up, make its move, and so on. So pound yen, how did you do this week, pound yen? Did okay. Did okay. Here was our area on pound yen. We want to see it get a little closer to that monthly pivot. It didn't. I mean, it got close-ish. It definitely did run up a little bit. So on the 13th, it was within 50 pips of it or so. And then it just kind of started coming down. So the movement, the trade that I listed for everybody has definitely struggled. It's been in some profit. It's been at break even. It's been in drawdown, and it currently is sitting in at least a little bit of profit. So that was, if you remember, that was this area here. I posted the pound yen right here. So we talked about this little movement. That was what I posted, I believe, yesterday. So that breakout of 147.75 and a move into the weekly pivot. So what the pound yen ended up doing is there was our little move right there. It broke out. It ran 30 pips. It pulled back 50 pips. It ran another 30 pips. It pulled back to about the breakout area. and then it ran all the way down here about 50 pips, almost hit that weekly pivot, and it's pulled back again. So the pound yen struggled this week. It's been probably the least cooperating one, but it still is, at least multiple times it ran into enough profit to, to at least lock in, to grab a couple of pips, whatever the case was. Still hasn't hit that weekly pivot. And I still think the pound yen's got plenty of downward potential and at least a pretty good chance to move into 146.50. Um, so I still like the pound yen, even though it's just being boring and doing nothing super exciting for us. So it was kind of the least interesting movement of of the yen pairs, but it still worked. It still worked. So hopefully you made some money on the pound yen. Um, I grabbed a couple of pips on it, and and it just kind of chopped around. And so it wasn't anything too amazing, but it worked out. It still gave us some money. So pound yen was good. Aussie yen, very clean, clear, wonderful, good mover. Euro yen, great little mover there. Pound yen struggled. And then I'll be honest, I didn't even trade. I didn't get an entry on the New Zealand yen. I think somehow I missed this, or I had too many yen pairs going, or something. But the um, New Zealand yen went pretty well. Anyone get into New Zealand yen this week? Who traded New Zealand yen? New Zealand yen. Anybody? Nobody? It was a good one. New Zealand yen moved for us pretty well. This is what it did. We were looking for that move up into the monthly pivot, kind of see where it goes there. And it gave us a little push above the monthly pivot. It gave us just a little bit of a dance up there, ran up above it, 20 pips or so, but ultimately made that really nice little comeback and broke out, pounded on that monthly pivot, and then it broke out of this rising wedge very nicely. Ended up creating almost a little bit more of a channel here, kind of de-rising wedge-atized it and turned it into just a nice little kind of channel there. But ran up, hit that monthly pivot and broke out, made a very nice little run. So the breakout was right here around 7,800. You can see it's around 7,650, so it was a nice 150 pips. There's another chance right here is we had this really good little level that was running through here that had been tested, and then finally made a break. So so that was about 77.70, and so still a nice 100+ pip movement from there. So yeah, New Zealand yen was great, and that was a nice little move there. So hopefully you guys are able to make some money on New Zealand yen. So basically, the moral of the story is we made a lot of money on yen pairs this week. They treated us very well, which we love, and we had a nice opportunity to grab some trades and get some good movement, good activity there. Um, like the Aussie yen and the Euro yen and the dollar yen and so on, where is our next opportunity on New Zealand yen? This one's going to be a little tricky. I don't feel quite as strongly about this channel on the New Zealand yen as I do on some of the other yen pairs. It's not like I'm absolutely waiting for this level to break out and give us a nice little opportunity to short it below. I think we could absolutely see that and it could get there, but I'm going to wait for confirmation basically on this one. As for those that are still in this, we got a good little run into that 75. Basically, it's about 75, 75, 75, 70 is that big level down there. If we get down into that zone, I'd want to see this kind of break out, give us some pullback, really retest that zone before continuing lower. But I feel like this one might have a little bit of a different game plan in mind. And so we'll see how this plays out. We'll see just kind of how this goes and where this thing might be headed. But I don't really love a major sell-off on New Zealand yen as much as some of the other yen pairs. Now, if the other yen pairs really crater, then New Zealand yen's going to mash through 75, 75 and not have any problem with it. But it's not as high on my list. But it was really great for this short-term movement, and it did really awesome for us. So you can see, there's been 100 to 150 pips on all the yen pairs that we've looked at from the levels and setups we talked about at the start of the week. I updated these, a couple of times this week to really make those entries precise. And so it worked out pretty well. So if you were trading, $1 a pip, there was about 100 to 150 bucks on each setup. If you're trading a standard lot, there is $1,000 to $1,500 on each setup this week on these yen pairs, which is kind of great. If you were trading 100 standard lots, there was a lot of money on that. So good profits, good pips to be had there. Definitely lots of money there. So yep, many good pips, many good profits. And then dollar yen. So we talked about dollar yen already. And I wanted to trade this dollar yen a bit this week, and then it just kind of chopped around. So that was the level we talked about. Get back to that decision point. It got most of the way there. It came off it. So if you just traded the dollar yen as we kind of talked about at the start of the week, which was get a little bit of a pullback and trade it from those highs. Watch the decision point. Didn't get all the way there, and it was pretty short lived. There were some good pips, but dollar yen was definitely not that great of a mover. I mean, it actually wasn't bad. It still moved, that little high there, 107.25 down into 105.50 ish area. I mean, there was enough pips. It just wasn't quite as clean of a movement as some of the others. So yen pairs paid us out this week, which was super sweet. We always love that. We always love that. Okay, questions, comments. We talked about the dollar CAD this week, and dollar CAD has turned out to be quite the beastly pair. So this was the channel I talked about on dollar CAD to start the week off. That's a 4-hour chart. Dollar CAD kind of running up. We have all these great targets down below. And as we've talked throughout the week, the Canadian dollar just can't get its footing. And we got no break of that channel. So that was the channel we were looking at to start trading down to some of those areas, and we just had no break, no breakout. It did run back up and retest 130, and obviously go beyond there. So there was no sell trade. There definitely was some buy trade activity for sure, which I did not take. And it's just, really at this point, it's, we're kind of seeing how this plays out. It's still very well within this channel, and we're still really completely within this channel. And it's looking like that. So, this is it's a good time to be kind of trading some Canadian dollar trend here, but it's not the setup that I want to see. Now, we are above 130. We're above 130. The thing that I'm having a hard time with, and this is where, this is where I have to tell myself from time to time this kind of stuff. And the lesson is trade what you see, right? That is the oldest verbiage, the oldest adage, excuse me, of trading is trade what you see. And what do we see happening? Dollar CAD is moving higher. I haven't traded this movement higher because for me, there's so many targets on CAD pairs towards CAD strength that and this is, and I've talked about this a million times during live sessions. This is where I get stuck sometimes. I'll be honest. I get very stuck in this kind of stuff because I get a little bit stubborn about what I want to see versus what I am seeing. And what I'm seeing here is a lot of Canadian weakness and a lot of movement higher. And so there's good opportunities to trade that stuff. What I want to see is as these high probability targets continue to stack up, it becomes increasingly difficult to trade away from those because as we get a lot of these targets lining up, missed pivot points, imbalances, there's an imbalance right there, there's an imbalance, there's an imbalance right through there, there's one through there. As those levels really stack up, then it becomes clear that we're heading into some sort of reversal sooner than later. But the trend is moving higher, and there's really no denying that. But so I missed some opportunities. I have to say I missed some good opportunities to trade the dollar CAD higher. But at the same time, it's not really what I do when we get to certain points of extension. But I want everyone to remember, got to trade what you see. Got to trade what you see. But at the same time, we do have some pretty heavy extension here because of all of these targets that we've talked about, looked at, and so on. Yeah, Joseph. Yep, yeah, exactly. So and because of that mentality, where I can't kind of trade away from these extensions here. I miss out on opportunities, but at the same time, there's good pips and good things to be had along the way. So here are more imbalances that the dollar CAD is creating. This basically just makes me want to do nothing but get short dollar CAD. I want to get short dollar CAD real bad because these are now good little levels here. This is about 129, 80, 130. This is down here 127 or 128.75. We've got this down here 126.35. 124.50. There's just so many dang levels down there that I can't. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm watching there. So there's going to be some good opportunities. And Joseph, yeah, we're definitely going to talk about the Aussie cat. That's been a beautiful one this week for us. So, and it could be the precursor. Definitely could be. Absolutely. So, okay, so dollar CAD, no sell trade for me, no buy trade for me. But with these levels really lining up like they are, I may aggressively short dollar CAD at the start of next week. And I, of course, will let you guys know about that. But I may start getting really short there to trade back towards some of these ridiculous levels. Now, what are the risks to that? What are the risks? They are as follows. We've got a monthly pivot that we're creeping right up on. That's 131.50. So there's a monthly pivot all the way back here that has remained untouched for some time. So let's just mark that with a beautiful tan orange line. So monthly pivot, 131.50. Another monthly pivot, which is right here, and that takes us up into 135. I mean, are we headed up into that? I don't know. Maybe. I don't. I'd like to think maybe not, but we might. We might be. But I think this monthly pivot's a pretty easy yes. We're probably going to hit that. That's going to take us up another, 75, 100 pips somewhere in there, and then if we hit that without much pullback, if this just runs up into that, I'll probably short at 130, 150 regardless. This is a strong run up, and there's just too many lower targets. So we'll talk about that next week. But let's look and see if we can get another 75, 100 pips somewhere in there up into that area. So great levels down here below, but we got to get a little bit higher. So dollar CAD looks awesome. That was a no trade for us this week, but hopefully it will give us something in the week ahead. And I think it will. I think it absolutely will. Okay, and then we talked about these guys right here, and I did a lot of updating on Pound CAD and Euro CAD. Pound CAD, we had our decision point here on Pound CAD at 178.70. We talked about that quite a bit, and it actually, for anybody trading that upward movement, it blasted through 178.70. That was that right there. So that was a decent movement. That was our decision point. It's either going to hold or break, and it broke by 400 pips. So which is what the pound CAD does. So that was a really good little movement. If anybody got in on that, got long, that one was a little bit. That was a little bit of a nice little move there, and we'll see how that kind of plays out. So Pound CAD was really good in making a nice little movement. Um, Hopefully, some of you guys got some tips. Anyone buy Pound CAD? Anyone get a buy on Pound CAD? It was a good move higher. Definitely a good move higher. But here's what I'm interested in on the Pound CAD now, and I've updated this many times throughout the week, and that is we're coming right up into this level. Here was a nice little support, break, resistance, and this made a nice move back into that level, and it's going up through that level just a little bit. So that's on our weekly chart. The daily, we're still right inside of that channel. So I'm curious about getting some rejection off that channel high and kind of just seeing how this plays out. So we're right at that channel high. It's tough to trade against some of those levels, but we've got a really good imbalance right here and right here. So some really good areas to target now. Um, So if we look at this right here, we've got that as a target. We have this as a target right here. So we've got some really good areas to start heading towards on this pound CAD. So as it's kind of coming off that channel high, this is kind of our first short-term target, 81, about 81.30, so about 100 pips below where it currently is. But good target, good target, good target, good target. Same thing on pound CAD, really lining up the lower targets here. So you can see all those levels, target, 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 just tons of stuff. So the pound CAD, this one's tough because it's so volatile and it moves a lot, and it's hard to trade against, the immediate movement. But when you get on the right side of this thing, it pays out like crazy. So you can see we're kind of working on this, really steep, really kind of crazy uh, short-term rising wedge here, and that may play out and be something for us, which would be, excelente. Um, but our first target is really right here. If this starts to kind of consolidate, make a little bit of a move, or if somebody's already in this from these little tweezers right here, or train tracks more. If you're in that from that little reversal point right there, that's cool. There's your first target to go for. If this gets a little bit sideways, makes a breakout, then that'll still be our first target. But that might be a little area to watch and start getting some of this downward movement going. We're coming off the top of a very long, very big channel that should give us a pretty great chance to trade back into these lows. So I like pound CAD a lot, but we got to be careful with it. I haven't taken any trades on it in a couple of days, so looking for that move. So pound CAD still lurking. Euro CAD, I updated this at least twice this week, but same thing on Euro CAD. There was our decision point, 159.25. It broke through that. I updated it with the video yesterday. So this video right here was the EuroCAD Money Minute video, and that was, what are we going to see coming up here on these CAD pairs? And so as we pulled back into that 159.25.30 and then made our way up into 160 and so on, and even made a little bit of a push up above. The video yesterday I posted, I mentioned, don't be surprised to see this thing just pop up through here a bit, but we're coming into a pretty important area. So remember, here's kind of what we see happening on EuroCAD. So that's 2009, that's 2016, that's 2000 and right now. And we have spent much more time below this area than above it. So we've had little spikes in the last 15 years or so, little short-lived spikes above 160. And this, of course, this got way up there. I mean, this got to 175. It made it 1,500 pips above that. But it was pretty short-lived. I mean, it made it up for a month or a month and a half and back down. Up here for a couple of weeks, back down. Back here, a couple of weeks above, back down. But we spend years below this level. And here we are right back to it again. This is why I'm so stubbornly wanting to be long the Canadian dollar. Long Canadian dollar, because we're in this area of major turns, and the EuroCAD is very volatile. I mean, this thing, if you wanted to scale into this, it could go against you 2,000 pips, kind of a thing, right? And so we don't want that, and it probably won't. From where it stands, the highest point's about 1,500 pips away, and it's a short-lived area, and so we can start looking for these kinds of things, short-term confirmations to get into this stuff, and start trading some of these movements. And we're getting a little bit of activity there. We've still got tons of lower targets. And so just like that pound CAD, we've got a nice little rising wedge on this Euro CAD that it's breaking out of. So we could see some nice little movements into that level. Well, I mean, it's probably coming to that level in the next few minutes. That's 30 pips away. But here's this beautiful level right here that's 150 pips away, and this guy and this guy and this guy. So I'm so hyper focused on CAD pairs. Yen pairs have treated us super well. We've been trading those hardcore, and CAD pairs look like they're about ready to rock and roll. So CAD pairs are going to give us some great profits this coming week. They're going to give us some really, really good profits this coming week. Okay, so that's CAD, Euro CAD, Pound CAD, Dollar CAD. I've been looking at all of those. Talked a little bit about the CAD Yen and the fact that CAD Yen, I'm torn on CAD Yen because I still see plenty of Yen strength, and I'm not seeing that CAD strength yet. But I talked about this a couple of days ago. CAD Yen, watch this level, at least watch this 80-50, 80-60 level, and we've just about hit it. We pretty much did hit it. So, will this continue pushing through? It's very possible. Very possible. Um, if it holds, then maybe this is the start of a CAD movement higher. So the CAD Yen will be the absolute last CAD pair that I trade towards CAD strength. I'll be trading Euro CAD, Pound CAD, Dollar CAD, Aussie CAD towards CAD strength first. CAD Yen probably last, but it could be a good move. Yen pairs are infamous for just saying, hey, we're done going in the direction that we were going, and we're going to turn around and go completely the opposite direction for 10,000 pips. So the big positive on the CAD Yen holding this level and making a big push higher, which we have great targets up here, is that yen pairs reverse sharply. Yen pairs will reverse very sharply. They'll just make, just kind of like this stuff right here, right? I mean, we see this CAD yen do it over and over again. It runs up from, see this low right here, 75, this was about, or 74, this was about 74.80, and it just, without hardly taking a breath, ran up to 88.80. So it just ran up, 1,400 pips. Got a little choppy, but then just turned right back around and ran down 800 pips. And then, it just makes these big wild swings. And so now we had this huge double top at 91.50, ran down to 80.50. Boom, there we go. Maybe this is a major reversal point for the CAD Yen. I'm not ready to put any money on this yet, but I've seen and we've seen yen pairs reverse just on a whim. And so that could be the area for it. And yes, Joseph, yeah, it's had a very, very straight run, and we've seen that happen here. We've seen straight up movements, straight down movement into a significant level. So yeah, if there's a point for this to reverse, and we have a great case for CAD strength coming up, then this is going to be a good little area. But like I said, I'm going to be pretty cautious on this one. Pretty darn cautious. Okay, so yeah, double top on Euro Aussie. Okay, yeah, we'll pick a Euro Aussie in a moment. So CAD Yen has some potential. We'll see how this one plays out in the week ahead. But watch this level. I've talked about this level a couple of times this week. Talking about it again. 80-50, 80-50. Watch that area. And we could see a little bit of a push lower. So watch that 79.50 as well. So that's why I have kind of this zone in here. 80.50 to 79.50 is kind of our spot to look for. Oh, gotcha. EuroCAD. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so CAD Yen, has some potential, but we got to be really careful with this one. We took some profit, by the way, on CAD Swiss this week, which was nice. So that pulled up in our monthly pivot. I alerted everyone on taking profit on that one, and then it just came right back down. So CAD Swiss still has some potential. Again, just kind of staying on the tone of CAD strength. We still have some great upper targets, but I'm probably not going to get into CAD Swiss for a little while. I'd like to see this drop a little bit more if it's going to, and then I'll look for some opportunities there. So CAD Swiss is kind of a, we'll see what happens. If it runs away without me, I don't really care. But if it does get down another 200 to 300 pips, then I'd be really interested in buying some CAD Swiss again. Okay, and then one of our last trades this week. This was posted, I don't know, not yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday. When did I post the Aussie CAD? Updates to charts above. So that was one of the last times I posted it. Was looks like there's the 14th there. I posted before the 14th. I feel like I did. Aussie CAD. No, maybe the 14th was it. Yeah. Okay. So I posted this 2 days ago. Aussie CAD. And looking for that little. No, I think that was my second chart that I. Yeah, that was the update. So I posted it before that. So that was just a quick update. Yeah. So where'd the Aussie CAD chart go? Threw that thing up there somewhere. Anyway, the Aussie CAD was in here. There it is. Good grief. It's hard to find. So here is the Aussie CAD. This was the trade. This was our trade right here. So it's sitting at 102.17. And we were talking about that first run of pips, 50 pips or so down into this 101.65, which was that third of the 3 missed daily pivots. And some good resistance up here. So Aussie CAD definitely did that. It was right up there. That was at 102.17, 18. So it was right here, and it just ran down like a champ. So almost 100 pips at this point, and it's really picking up some good momentum. So that was some great pips. Really easy, really easy profit on that one. I actually love trading the Aussie CAD because it's not crazy volatile, but it moves enough. It doesn't run away without us, but it moves enough. And so this is a really, really great one. So this was a great trade this week. We grabbed an easy 50 pips on this, and if you stayed in this, a fairly easy 100 pips on it. But really, really good little movement there. And I do like the possibility of this maybe being a little bit of a warm up of further CAD strength. I think that's definitely a very real possibility here. So we have some good targets down below. This one's not as heavy towards all the lower targets as some of the other CAD pairs are, but it's still good. All these CAD pairs have just left so many targets. So we've got weekly pivot, monthly pivot, and so on. So just lots of great lower levels to be aiming for on the Aussie CAD. So targets, and we've got another little chunk of targets all the way down here at 96. So could be a big move down. This feels like the time to really be building some CAD strength trades. I couldn't imagine trading any more CAD weakness right now. Feels like CAD strength is our next big move, and it's definitely started here. And we definitely grabbed some great pips here. So 50 pips was an easy run. 100 pips was a little bit of a patience run, and it's worked out well for us. So all in all, it was a great week. Everything that we talked about at the beginning of the week played out very well, with the exception of the dollar CAD, which just continued pushing higher. We didn't get into anything there. I mean, if anybody made less than a few hundred pips this week, I'll be kind of surprised, because these just kind of ran and ran and ran and ran some more. And so there was lots of profits. I sent out lots of alerts every day, and we had plenty of opportunities to get into this stuff. So great pips, great trades, just great stuff all around. Really, really nice setups. So I hope you guys had a good week this week. I had a good week this week. Everything just kind of played out the way we thought it would. And US dollar pairs, kind of a waste of time. Actually, okay, here was the $1 setup. I mentioned we traded $1 thing, and that was I sent this chart out on the Australian dollar and talked about this trade right here, selling that breakout and taking it towards that weekly pivot and potentially beyond. So Aussie dollar on that channel. So that was the $1 pair, besides kind of watching the dollar yen, but that was the $1 pair that we were looking to trade lower. And the Aussie dollar did pretty well for us. So forgot about that one. That was a nice, that was an easy profit as well. So Aussie dollar broke out of that channel, gave us a run into that weekly pivot. So the channel breakout was around 78.75, pivot around 7800, so it was about 75 pips there. Consolidated, continued making another push. So a little bit over, 100, 125 pips on the Aussie dollar. Really great little setup, really great little trade. Went super well for us. So Aussie dollar was great. That was one of the dollar pairs that I did trade, did like, and it did go well for us. So we had a nice little push there. Very nice little push. Okay, guys. As you can see, it was a wonderful week with plenty of profits, plenty of pips, plenty of trades. And as you can see, we have some super excellent trades coming up next week. So next week should be as good or better than this week was. All the pairs that consolidated this week could give us some movement next week. We might get a little dollar activity next week. We'll be ready for some of that. CAD pairs have just trended and trended and trended, and maybe there's just enough CAD strength now to start throwing on those CAD runs. This is where it's hard to want to get into the Canadian dollar. We've got trade war talks, we've got oil prices that are pretty flat, we've got all this stuff that's not necessarily good for the Canadian dollar or for the Canadian economy, but this is also kind of where we have to get in ahead of the curve a little bit, where it's not so obvious that the Canadian dollar is trending and it's time to rock and roll. So this is time to start scaling into these CAD pairs and start looking for some of this CAD movement to happen. So this is the kind of stuff that we wait for months and months and months and maybe even years. And I think the moment is upon us. So let's get ready for some of that big CAD movement next week. We're not just going to throw trades at the Canadian dollar, because that's not good. But we're going to look for some short-term confirmations. We're going to look for good areas that can we can get in with some invalidation, and we can say, hey, this is a spot to start getting in nearby and going from there. So anyway, that is what we're looking for. Thanks for being on, everyone. Time zones are slowly changing over. The U.S. moved an hour earlier or later, or whichever one it is, about a week ago, and it's a slow transition over. But we'll get there. We will get there, and we'll see how things play out. So thanks, everybody. Hopefully you all had a great week. We had a great week. Everything worked out really, really well. And I think we've got some really good stuff coming next week. So thanks for being on. Have a wonderful weekend. Any questions, any comments you have, feel free to send them over. I'm happy to answer anything. So thanks, guys. Happy trading. We've got some great setups coming next week, and we'll take it from there. Thanks, guys. Take care. See you all next Monday at 6 a.m. Pacific time, whatever that means right now. Double check Google to see what time Pacific time is right now in relation to your current time zone. Thanks, everybody. Take care. See you all soon.